2 Corinthians chapter 6. Now as Almighty's co-worker, I am also encouraging you not to accept Almighty's favor and then let it have no results. For he says, I have replied to you during an acceptable time period, and I have helped you on a day of salvation from destruction. Isaiah 49 verse 8. Notice, now is a most acceptable time period. Notice, now is a day of salvation from destruction. I am trying to never give anyone a cause to stumble in anything, so that my service might not be found to have flaws. No, I am trying to commend myself in all kinds of ways, as a servant of Almighty should, by enduring much while suffering oppressions, torments, and distresses, while suffering blows, being in jails, and being in turbulences, while laboring, having sleepless nights, and having to go without food, by having pureness, by having knowledge of the Word, by having patience, by having kindness, by having the pure spirit, by having love without pretense, by having the word of truth, and by having the power of Almighty, with the weapons of rightness and justness, and in my right hand attack, and in my left defense, through esteem and dishonor, through bad report and good report, regarded as a deceiver and yet true, regarded as being unknown by people, and yet well known by Almighty, regarded as dying, and yet, notice, I am still alive, regarded as disciplined, and yet not put to death, regarded as sorrowful, yet constantly rejoicing, regarded as poor, yet making many rich, and regarded as having nothing, and yet holding on to everything important. My mouth has always been open to you, Corinthians. I have always made my heart wide open to you. You aren't being put in a cramped space by me, yet you are being put in a cramped space by your own compassions. Now as a repayment to me of the same kind, I say this to you as children, you must open your hearts wide too. You must stop being inappropriately connected with unbelievers. For what partnership does rightness and justness have with lawlessness? Or what does light share with darkness? Now what agreement does the Anointed One have with Belial, or the disintegrator, Satan? Or what part does a believer have with an unbeliever? Now what place does Almighty's temple have of being on the same side with idols? For we are the living Almighty's temple, just as Almighty said, I will make my home in them, and walk among them, and I will be their Almighty, and they will be my people. Leviticus 26 verse 12. For this reason you must come out from among them, and must be cut off from them, says the Master, and you must stop touching whatever is unclean, and I will admit you. Isaiah 52 verse 11. I will be a father to you, and you will be sons and daughters to me, says the Master Almighty. Isaiah 43 verse 6. 2 Corinthians chapter 7. So then, since we have these promises, dearly loved ones, we should make ourselves clean from everything that can pollute our flesh and spirit, since we are continually trying to complete our purity out of deep respect for Almighty. You must make room for me. I haven't injured anyone. I haven't caused the decay of anyone. I haven't taken advantage of anyone. I'm not saying this to condemn you, since as I have already declared previously. You are in my heart to die together and to live together. Great is my boldness of speech towards you. Great is my boasting on your behalf. I haven't been completely filled with encouragement. In spite of all my oppressions, I am overflowing with joy, for even after I had gone to Macedonia, North Greece, my flesh had no relaxation, but I was continually oppressed in all kinds of ways, fightings outside and fears inside me. But Almighty, who is continually encouraging the humble, encouraged me by the presence of Titus, yet not only by his presence, but also definitely by the encouragement that he had received over you, since he was continually delivering the message to me about your desire to see me. Your expression of pain, produced by the document that I sent, and your enthusiasm on my behalf, so that I rejoiced even more. Yes, although I did make you sorry with that letter, I don't regret it now. Although I was regretting it, for I observed that that letter made you sorry, although it was only for an hour. Yet it is a fact that I am rejoicing, not that you were made sorry, but that your being sorry led to a change in thoughts and feelings. For you were made sorry with respect to Almighty, and so that you might not suffer loss in anything through me. For sorrow with respect to Almighty is producing a change in thoughts and feelings without regret, which is leading to salvation from destruction. Yet the sorrow of the world is producing death, in the fiery destruction of the second death. Revelation 20 verses 14 through 15. For notice how much diligence that this very same thing, your being sorry with respect to Almighty, has produced in you. Know how much verbal defense of yourselves. Know how much resentment against the wrong done. Know how much fear that you might not be doing things right. Know how much desire to see me. Know how much enthusiasm on my behalf. Know how much concern for seeing justice done to the wrongdoer. In everything you have commended yourselves to be continually pure in this matter. Therefore, although I wrote to you, it wasn't on account of the person who did the injury, the Son, 1 Corinthians 5 verse 1, nor on the account of the person who had been injured, the Son's Father, but on account of being your diligence on my behalf, apparent to you in Almighty's sight. For this reason I have been encouraged, yet in addition to my own encouragement, I rejoiced even abundantly more in the joy of Titus, for his spirit had been soothed by all of you. Yes, since I have been doing some boasting about you to him, I wasn't put to shame. Rather, just as everything I had spoken to you was true, so too my boasting before Titus has been shown to be true. Now his compassion for you is continually becoming abundantly greater, as he is continually remembering the obedience of all of you, how you welcomed him with deep respect and anxious eagerness. I am rejoicing that in every way you are giving me reason to have courage. 2 Corinthians chapter 8. Now I want you to know, brothers and sisters, about Almighty's favor that has been given among the groups of called ones in Macedonia, North Greece, that during much oppression that has proven their worthiness, their immense joy and their deep-down poverty has overflowed and resulted in the richness of their generosity. For I am testifying that they gave of their own free will according to their ability, and beyond their ability, continually petitioning me with much encouragement for the favor of sharing in this service to the pure ones. And they did this not just as I had hoped, but even much more so. They first gave themselves to the Master, and then to me because it was what Almighty wanted. Therefore, I encouraged Titus that just as he had undertaken it before, he should in the same way also complete this favor of sharing among you too. Nevertheless, just as you are overflowing in everything, in faith, in expression, that is, the ability to speak about the Word, in knowledge of the Word, in every kind of diligence, and in the love that is in you that came from me, see to it that you are overflowing in this favor too. I'm not saying this as a requirement, but I am trying to prove the genuineness of your love too, in view of the diligence of others. For you are continually knowing the favor of our Master Jesus, the Anointed One, that although he was continually rich, he became poor because of you, so that by his poverty you might become rich. Now I'm going to give you my opinion about this matter, for it is for your improvement. A year ago you were the first to undertake this, not only to do something about it, but also to want to do something. Yet now you must complete doing it too, so that just like there was eagerness to do it, in the same way there might be eagerness to complete it too, based on what you have. For if eagerness is lying before a person, it is considered most acceptable to give in accordance with what he has, not with what he doesn't have. For this contribution isn't for the relaxation of others and for your oppression, rather, based on equality. During this current time period, your abundance can supply their need, so that someday their abundance might also become a supply for your need, so that there might be equality. Just as it has been written, whoever had much didn't have more than enough, because he was to share it, not save it. And whoever had little didn't have less than enough, because others shared with him. Exodus 16, verse 18. Now thanks be to Almighty, who is granting the same diligence for you in Titus' heart that I have, because on the one hand, he accepted my encouragement, yet on the other hand, since he possesses so much diligence about it, he has gone out to you of his own free will. Now I have sent together with him our brother who is praised throughout all the groups of called ones for spreading the good message. And not only that, but he has also been selected by the groups of called ones to be my traveling companion, with this favor of sharing that I'm going to dispense for the esteem of the Master himself, and to show that I am eager to shrink back in this, so that no one might find a flaw with me in my dispensing of this bountiful amount. For I am trying to make provisions to do whatever is ideal, not only in the sight of the Master, but in the sight of humans also. Now I have sent together with them another brother of ours, whose diligence I have often proved in many ways, yet who is now much more diligent, because of his confidence in you. As for Titus, he is my partner and co-worker in my work for you. As for these brothers of ours, they are envoys dispatched by the groups of called ones for the esteem of the Anointed One. So then, before the faces from the groups of called ones, you are definitely going to display the evidence of your love and of our boasting about you. 2 Corinthians chapter 9. The fact is that it is really quite abundant for me to write to you about this dispensing of money to the pure ones, for I am aware of your eagerness, of which I am continually boasting about you to the ones in Macedonia, North Greece. That Achaia, South Greece, has been prepared since this last year, and your enthusiasm has provoked most of them. Yet I have sent these brothers so that my boasting about you in this matter might not be made into nothing, so that you might be prepared just as I have kept saying to them. For fear that somehow, if any from Macedonia, North Greece, come together with me and find you unprepared, I shall be put to shame, to say nothing of you, by this cocksureness. So then, I have thought it necessary to encourage these brothers to come to you beforehand, and to prepare beforehand for your bountiful blessing that you have already promised, so that this might be ready as a bountiful blessing, and not influenced by greed. Now this is the way it is. Whoever is planting seeds sparingly will harvest sparingly too, and whoever is planting seeds bountifully will harvest bountifully too. Each must give just as he has proposed in his heart, not sorrowfully or under compulsion, since Almighty is continually loving the cheerful giver. Now Almighty is able to make every kind of favor overflow for you, so that you might always have every kind of self-sufficiency in every situation, and so be continually overflowing for every good work. Just as it has been written, the person who has deep respect for the Master has scattered his gifts, like seed, to those who are working hard, and whatever he has done that is right and just is going to stay even to the last age. Musical Composition 112, verse 9. Now, the one who is continually supplying seed for the seed planter and biscuit for food, Isaiah 55, verse 10, will furnish and multiply your seed, and will make the products, the harvest, from your doing things that are right and just grow. You are going to be made rich in every way, so that you can generously give in all kinds of ways, which is going to produce through my service the giving of thanks to Almighty. Because the dispensing service that you are going to provide by this service as attendants is not only going to replenish the needs of the pure ones, but it is also going to overflow because of much giving of thanks to Almighty. For by your receiving their approval with respect to this dispensing service, they're going to esteem Almighty for your subservience to your acknowledgement to the good message about the Anointed One, and for the generosity of your sharing with them and with everyone. And so in their petitions or prayers for you, they're going to desire to know you because of the immense favor that Almighty has poured out upon you. Thanks be to Almighty for His indescribable, freely given gift. 2 Corinthians chapter 10. Now I myself, Paul, am encouraging you in view of the Anointed One's gentleness and leniency. I who am, as some of you say, on the one hand so humble when face to face among you, yet on the other hand so courageous towards you when absent. Yet I am petitioning you that when I am present with you I might not be made so courageous in my confidence, as I am regarding it necessary to be daring towards some who are regarding me as a person who is walking in accordance with the flesh. For while I walk in the flesh, I'm not fighting in wars in accordance with the flesh. For the weapons of my warfare are not ones of the flesh, but are powerful in Almighty's sight for the pulling down of strongholds, since I am pulling down things held in regard, and every high barrier that lifts itself up against the knowledge of Almighty, and am taking everything in the mind captive, and bringing it to obedience to the Anointed One, and am ready to get justice for every remaining act of disobedience, once your obedience is complete. Are you just looking at the surface appearance of things? Whoever has confidence in himself that he belongs to the Anointed One must be taking this into regard again about himself, that just as he belongs to the Anointed One, so too do I. For even if I should boast somewhat too abundantly about my authority that the Master gave me for building you up and not for pulling you down, I won't be put to shame for doing so. I don't want to seem to be terrifying you with my letters, for they affirm, on the one hand, his letters are weighty and strong, yet on the other hand, his physical presence is weak, and his speech is always contemptible. Such a person must be taking this into regard, that the kind of person I am in word by means of my letters when I am absent, such am I also in action when I am present. Of course, I wouldn't dare judge myself, or compare myself with, some of those who are commending themselves. But they never have any understanding, because they are continually measuring themselves by themselves, and continually comparing themselves with themselves. Now I won't boast beyond measure, but in accordance with the measure of my territory that Almighty has divided up to me, a measure that reaches over even as far as you. For I'm not overstretching myself, as though I shouldn't reach over to you, since I was surpassing the others even as far as you in spreading the good message about the Anointed One. I'm not boasting beyond measure about what are really the labors of others, yet I have the hope that, as your faith continually grows, my influence might be magnified by you with respect to my territory and result in an overflow, so that I might spread the good message into the regions beyond you, without boasting in another's territory about what has already been done. Now, whoever is boasting must be boasting about the Master. Jeremiah 9 verse 24. For it isn't the person who commends himself who is approved, but the person whom the Master is commending. 2 Corinthians chapter 11. My wish is for you to tolerate me now in a little bit of unintelligence, but then you are continually tolerating me. For I am jealous over you with Almighty's own jealousy, since I have brought about your engagement to the Anointed One, to present you as a pure virgin bride to her one husband. Yet I am afraid that, somehow or another, as the snake totally enticed Eve with his craftiness, your minds might be caused to decay away from the singleness and purity that you have towards the Anointed One. For when someone comes along and proclaims another Jesus than the one whom I proclaimed, or when you obtain a different spirit than the one that you previously obtained, or when you accept a different good message than the one that you previously accepted, you are continually tolerating him fine. For I don't regard myself to be in need of anything with respect to your very superior dispatched envoys, or false envoys. Although I am unskilled in my speech, nevertheless, I'm not unskilled in my knowledge of the truth. Rather, in every way I have made this apparent to you in all kinds of things. Or have I done something wrong by humbling myself? so that you might be elevated, since I spread Almighty's good message to you as a freely given gift? I have robbed other groups of called ones by getting rations from them so that I could dispense to you. Also, when I have been present with you and needy, I wasn't a crippling load on anyone, for the brothers and sisters who came from Macedonia, North Greece, replenished my needs. So in every way I have kept myself, and will keep myself from being a burden to you. As the Anointed One's truth is in me, this boasting, as it pertains to me, won't be made to shut up in the regions of Achaia, southern Greece. Why? Because I don't love you? Almighty is aware that I do. Now what I am doing, I will continue to do, in order to chop off any occasion from those who want to have an occasion to boast that they can be found doing just as I am also doing. For such people are people who falsely represent themselves as dispatched envoys, fraudulent workers who are changing themselves to appear like envoys dispatched by the Anointed One. Now this is no marvel, since Satan, the adversary, himself, is changing himself to appear like a messenger of light. So then, it is no great thing if his servants also are changing themselves to appear like dispensers of rightness and justness. Their completion will be in accordance with their works, that is, destruction in the second death. Revelation 20 verses 14 through 15. Again I say, no one should presume that I am an unintelligent person. Otherwise, even if you do, then you must definitely accept me as you would an unintelligent person. And let me too, like they, do a little bit of boasting. What I am now going to speak, as I boast with cocksureness, I'm not speaking in accordance with how the Master would, but like how an unintelligent person does. Since many are continually boasting according to the flesh, I too will boast. For if unintelligent as you are continually tolerating unintelligent people with pleasure. For you are continually tolerating it when someone is continually making you his slaves, when someone is continually devouring what you have, when someone is continually taking advantage of you, when someone is continually lifting himself up, like a master, over you, and when someone is continually punching you in the face, that is, giving you a slap in the face, browbeating you, or treating you with disrespect. I am saying these things about dishonor as though I have been weak. Yet in whatever anyone else is daring to boast, I am saying this like an unintelligent person. I too am going to dare to boast. Are they Hebrews? So am I. Are they Israelites? So am I. Are they Abraham's seed or descendants? So am I. Are they servants of the Anointed One? I am speaking as though I had gone insane. I am a better one. I have had tiring labor abundantly more, been in jails abundantly more, suffered blows immensely more, and often to the point of death. 5 times I got 1 short of 40 lashes from the Jews, the maximum allowed by Jewish law, Deuteronomy 25 verses 1 through 3. 3 times I was beaten with rods, Acts 16 verse 22, an illegal treatment for a Roman citizen like Paul. Once I was stoned, Acts 14 verse 19. 3 times I was shipwrecked, and once I spent a night and a day adrift in the open sea. I have served him with frequent journeys, in dangers from flooded rivers, in dangers from robbers, in dangers from my countrymen, in dangers from pagans, in dangers in the city, in dangers in the wasteland, in dangers at sea, and in dangers among false brothers and sisters. I have served him by laboring and having tiring effort, by often having sleepless nights, by having famine and thirst, by often having to go without food, by being naked, inadequately dressed, and cold. Apart from these problems, on the outside, by unbelievers, there is the assault upon me day after day, and my concern for all the groups of called ones. Who is weak without me being weak too? Who has been tripped without me being on fire against what has been done? If I have to boast, I will boast about the things that show my weakness. The Almighty and Father of the Master Jesus, who is blessed for the remaining ages, the present age and the last age, is aware that I'm not lying. In Damascus, in North Arabia, the nation's supreme chief under King Aretas had the city of Damascus militarily guarded in order to arrest me, and I was lowered in a wicker basket through a window in the wall, and so escaped out of his hands. Acts 9, verses 24 through 25.